All right, today we're going to dive into a document that honestly holds a ton of power over your daily life, but it often just flies completely under the radar. It's called the County Fiscal Strategy Paper, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll see exactly why it's such a game changer. I mean, really think about it. The roads you drive on every single day, the schools your kids go to, the quality of your local clinic. What if you could actually have a say in all of that? Well, the starting point, the key that unlocks all that influence, it all comes down to one single document. It's right there, available to the public. You can think of it as the blueprint for your county's priorities and spending for the whole year. And here it is, the County Fiscal Strategy Paper, or the CFSP for short. At its core, it's pretty simple. It's the county government's official plan for how it's going to raise money and how it's going to spend it. It's basically them saying, here are our priorities, our strategies, and our vision for the next financial year. Okay, so why does this matter so much? Well, here's the thing. It's not just the county's money they're planning with. It's your money from your taxes. And it's not just some abstract county plan. It's the plan that literally shapes the community you live in every single day. You see, the decisions made in this paper, they show up everywhere. We're talking about the funding for local schools, the stuff that determines class sizes and whether they have enough resources, or the money set aside for fixing those annoying potholes and keeping the parks nice. That affects your commute and your weekend plans, right? These aren't just abstract numbers on a page. They're the real services you and I rely on, day in and day out. Okay, so if this document is so incredibly important, what's actually in it? The best way to think about it is like this. The CFSP is the roadmap for your county's entire financial journey for the year. So let's take a look at what that map looks like. Now, this is a really important distinction to make, the difference between the CFSP and the budget. So the CFSP, that's your roadmap. It sets the destination, right? It outlines the big, broad plans and priorities. The budget, that comes later, and it's more like your GPS route. It gives you the specific turn-by-turn directions of where every single dollar is going. You've got to have the roadmap before you can have the route. And this roadmap, it has a few core parts you need to know about. First, you've got revenue estimates. That's just a fancy way of saying how much money the county thinks it's going to bring in. Then, expenditure plans. Obviously, how they plan to spend it. Development priorities. These are the big projects they want to focus on. Maybe a new health center or a market. Debt management. Super important for the county's long-term financial health. And finally, performance targets. These are the specific goals they're aiming to hit. Okay, but here's the most important part. This is not just some document you're supposed to read and file away. No, it's a process. And it's a process you can actually be a part of. So this next section, it's all about your role, your voice, and your power to help shape this plan. I know what you might be thinking. It can feel a little overwhelming, right? I mean, it's a big, official-looking document, probably full of numbers. So the real question is, where do you even begin? How do you actually get involved in all this? Believe it or not, it's probably more straightforward than you think. First things first. Go to the public forums that your county holds for the CFSP. Seriously, this is your chance to stand up and talk about what your community actually needs. Then, when the draft paper comes out, read it. Give your feedback. Your perspective is so valuable. And all along the way, just keep engaging with your local leaders. Make sure they know you're paying attention. And look, this isn't just some nice-to-have idea. It's absolutely fundamental to good governance. The source material puts it perfectly. Public participation ensures that the CFSP reflects the needs and priorities of the people. Your involvement, that's what makes the whole system work. It's what creates the transparency and accountability that are just essential for healthy democracy. But of course, let's be real, it's not always a smooth ride from a plan on paper to reality on the ground. You can have the best strategy in the world, but it can face some pretty serious hurdles out there. Acknowledging these challenges is just key to understanding the whole picture. And this right here, this is the core problem that basically every county government faces. It's a huge balancing act. The community's needs are, well, they're massive, but the money available, it's always limited. The whole point of the CSFP is to try and bridge that gap as effectively as possible. And that balancing act gets even harder when you factor in some common hurdles. Limited resources, that's the big one, of course. but you also have things like delays in funding from the national government, which can just stall really important projects. Then there's poor planning, which can waste a ton of money. And honestly, a huge problem is just a lack of public awareness. Because if people don't even know the CFSP exists, how can they participate? And the plan is always weaker because of it. So that brings us to our final section. And look, knowing about these challenges isn't meant to be discouraging, not at all. It's about being prepared. So now, let's talk about how you can cut through all that noise and make a real, tangible difference in your community. Okay, so when you get your hands on your county CFSP, here's a super simple checklist to guide you. Just ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. How much money are we talking about, really? 2. Which projects are they prioritizing? 3. Is my community's specific need, that clinic we need, that road that needs fixing, is it actually in the plan? And 4, how exactly are they planning to get all this done? This little checklist will help you focus on what really matters. And it goes beyond just reading. Here is your action plan. First, stay informed. Know what's happening. Second, ask your leaders the tough questions. Hold them accountable. Demand transparency. You have a right to know where the money is going. If you see something that looks off, report it. And hey, just as important, when you see good projects making a difference, support them. Your engagement, that's the ultimate oversight committee. So here's the bottom line. The County Fiscal Strategy Paper, it isn't just some boring government document. It's more like a community contract. It is the map that is being drawn for the future of the place you live. So the only question left really is, are you going to help hold the pen?